Welcome to Le Noirmont, a small village in the Swiss Jura. The kind of place that practically begs you to slow down, breathe the clean air, admire the hills, and perhaps get a bit of a sweat on a nice hike. But here's the surprise. In this quiet corner of the Jura hides a railway station with a platform design borrowed straight from the likes of Madrid, Barcelona, and Munich. Yep, in the middle of cowbells and pine forests, you'll find a concept straight out of big city transit theory. Where you might least expect it, you can find a slice of the Spanish Inquisition.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition!
Sorry, my bad. The Spanish solution. First, let's talk a bit about platform layouts and crowd management. Thrilling stuff, I promise. Picture a single track railway. Trains only run left to right, purely because that's how I drew the animation. And we add a station stop. Naturally, we slap down a platform. People get off, people get on. Everyone's happy. But then, oh no, chaos. There's an event happening right next to the station. Nearly everyone already on the train wants to get off, and the platform is crammed with people desperate to get on. Boarding and lining passengers are blocking each other, and our dwell times are skyrocketing. Trains are bunching up. Congratulations, we've just invented a traffic jam. On rails. So, what do we do? Well, option one is we draw some lines on the ground and hope for the best. This works surprisingly well. It's exactly what Lausanne's M2 metro does at Lausanne Gare. But it only works if trains stop with surgical precision and door spacing is identical on every train, which is why it works on Lausanne's automated system. So instead we could opt for option 2. Rather than a single track, we split the track in two and build an island platform between. Trains serve each track in an alternating fashion. This is great because it allows for longer stops for each train. Of course, it does absolutely nothing to fix the boarding chaos, but it is what's done at Zurich's S-Bahn and can be a surprisingly pleasant experience if executed well for passengers. If that's not an option, we could go for number 3. We build dual platforms. Every door opens onto a platform. As such, there is much more space and much faster flow. But of course, the conflicting flows technically still exist. So for the final stage, we split the flows entirely. The boarding passengers exit on one side first, boarding passengers enter from the other. This is known as the Spanish solution. As some smartass in the YouTube comment section pointed out to me, the true Spanish, oh shoo, go away, solution is actually used in Switzerland, but only on funiculars and aerial trams, where it comes down to passenger movement and ticket checks. There are a few other examples of twin platforms on adhesion railways, but most of them don't really count. Some are on tram lines, like in Basel or Bern, where at least part of the fleet, or all of it if you're in Basel, is unidirectional, with doors only on one side of the tram. So the twin platforms exist just to make boarding and alighting possible in both directions. Others show up on some rural stations, where the setup is less about passenger flow and more about squeezing in a second track. Most of the time, only one track is ever actually in use, the second existing only to allow for crossovers in case of delays or other issues. But you could theoretically open the doors on both sides of a train and step out onto something resembling a platform. Finally, I'll quickly shout out the termini of Neuchâtel's Litorai and here in Esslingen, near Zurich, which are slightly more prominent and theoretically usable examples of twin platforms. Though when I was in Esslingen, the drivers didn't even bother opening the doors on the far side. So instead, let's head back to the station where both sides are in fact used, back in Noirmont. The small village isn't exactly battling commuter hordes. This is rural Jura, It would hardly be a surprise if you met more cows than people here. So why the fancy layout? Well, because the station serves as a junction. Trains from Chaux-de-Fonds and Saint-Léger arrive on the two outer tracks. The central track, with platforms on both sides, serves trains to Tramelan and onwards towards Tavannes. This setup means super fast transfers. Step off one train, walk a few meters, step onto the next. Dwell times stay super short, and yet every hour, passengers can swap directions without missing a beat, keeping the entire regional network neatly in sync, and ensuring the same type of connection can be made at every other end of the network. So, Noirmont may look like a quiet stop in the Jura, but its clever design proves even rural stations can steal big city ideas and make them work better than anyone might have expected.
Nobody expects
Oh, shut up.